Donald Trump is bodacious and bellicose and braggadocious and all sorts. I mean, whatever adjective you got, he is. I mean, let me pull the camera back for a second. Donald Trump is talking about retaking the Panama Canal. And he's saying 38,000 Americans died building it, mainly of malaria. That's an astonishingly high number. That's almost like World War I casualties number. Not quite, but it's a huge number. And America built it. Most of the shipping is American. And Donald Trump is saying they're gouging us. Jimmy Carter sold it for $1. He shouldn't have. China's mucking around. We're going to retake it. And that's actually, they might retake it. Then there's Greenland. And it's a huge geography with a tiny population. In a way, it's like our own Nunavut. And there's U.S. military presence there. And the local Inuit in Greenland sort of want independence from Denmark. So again, it's a little bit of a stretch, but it's not insane given that the U.S. has bases there. And the Greenland people themselves want a little bit more sovereignty than they have now. So those two things are not crazy. I mean, Alaska was once bought by the Americans, and that wasn't too long ago. So
maybe Elon Musk will buy Greenland for Trump for his next birthday.
That's right. That's right. But then Trump really starts working these internet memes about Canada being the 51st state. And I think it's to yank our chain. And you know what? Part of the effect, and if you read, and I read, by the way, I bought the book Art of the Deal again, and I've started rereading it. I have, and you just got to understand, this is how Trump works. He's always been this way. He's always been audacious. He's always had chutzpah, and he does it because that's his personality style, but he does it to knock the other guy off balance, to reset the realm of what's possible. If he says, I want to own Canada, and you negotiate him down to, okay, fine, we'll just give you what you really wanted. You got to understand that's how Trump works.
Exactly. That's exactly what he's on about. He had dinner at Mar-a-Lago with Trudeau before Christmas. He joked about Canada becoming the 51st state and Trudeau becoming its governor. He realized that it got under Trudeau's skin, so he just kept poking at him. He's just poking and poking and poking. And you know, there's an element of bullying in there too, but who cares? Don't let it get to you. But the Laurentian elite in this country has gone nuts. I think it's really funny. Over the last week, Trudeau has given 3 media interviews, and only 3. All 3 were to U.S. outlets that he could count on to be friendly to him. Mark Carney, the person we all expect will jump in, the former Bank of Canada governor who we all expect will jump into the Liberal leadership race, has given 1 sit-down interview, and that was with Jon Stewart on The Daily Show. I mean, they may all squawk about Canada, about the United States claiming us as the 51st state, but where do they run when they want to get a favorable interview without too much hassle? And it's right down to the United States. They're acting as though we're already the 51st state.
I mean, Chrystia Freeland herself used to be a regular on Bill Maher's show. The head of the CBC would commute in from Brooklyn. It was Trudeau who derided our country as a post-national country with no core values. He's the one who stripped John A. Macdonald off the $10 bill. He's the one who said we're genociders. He's the one who tried to denude us of our history. And suddenly he's the great patriot, is he? Well, I mean, Donald Trump knows the weakness. As you say, he is like a bully in that he can find that one thing that you're sensitive about. That's why he's so good with giving people nicknames, because he knows the thing. He can find their essence and nickname them, and it sticks. It sticks. But here's the thing about Alberta. Of all Canadians who would consider joining the U.S., Alberta typically is the highest number. And in fact, there's a lot of Americans in Alberta because of historical reasons and the oil patch, et cetera. And if Melanie Joly were ever to precipitate that unity crisis, and I don't think that she would be allowed to, wouldn't that be something if she added some push to Donald Trump's pull? Because it is legal, in my understanding, because of course we went through this with Quebec. It went all the way to the Supreme Court of Canada. There was a reference on Quebec separatism. And the Supreme Court of Canada found that unlike in the United States, where secession was illegal, and in fact it started a civil war, In Canada, you can secede. And in fact, the Supreme Court
50%
outlined
plus one with a clear question.
Yeah. So if Melanie Joly said, we will use Alberta as a sacrifice province in our spiteful battle against Trump, between his saying, hey guys, come on down, and Melanie Joly saying, we hate you, I'm not saying it'll happen, but it's a non-zero chance that someone in Alberta might say, you know what? We will join, and we'll take all 170 billion barrels of oil with us. And by the way, it's probably the most pro-American province. And good luck to the rest of yous without your equalization payments. And how long before Saskatchewan joined? And then how long before BC said we're separate?
I'd be willing to say to the Americans, hey, if you want us, we got this nice little neighbor over to the east. They don't need much. They're pretty self-sufficient. They're polite people. They do a lot of farming. Would you take them too? And I think they would probably take Saskatchewan in the deal. We have $530 billion a year in exports in this country to the whole world. 169 billion of that last year was Alberta oil to the United States.
Yeah.
So in a country that is dependent on exports for its economic survival, we are the key in Alberta.
Yeah. And
so you make us angry at your peril if you're sitting there in Ottawa. And frankly, there's a lot of loyalty in Alberta to Canada. We like the idea of Canada. But at some point, we're going to say, the Americans aren't that bad either. They're at least not trying to take our oil and keep us from selling it. So I see exactly what you're talking about, is that at some point, this not much of a separatist movement now, there's a possibility there could be one.
Canadians love following American politics. The whole world does. The whole world was riveted by the presidential election. So when my American friends chide me and joke about annexing Canada, I said, oh, really? You want another California in the electoral college? You want another 30 or 40 electoral seats going Democrat every time? And they say, oh, right. And I say, and welcome to trilingualism. You think you have a hassle with Spanish? Welcome to Francais. And I just started throwing these little things there, and then they cool off pretty quick. And it's all in good humor. But let me say this, Alberta, Alberta joining the union is not that insane. And it wouldn't bring economic problems. It wouldn't bring cultural or language problems. And it would have, I'd have to do the math, 10 or 15 electoral college seats. And I don't think it's going to happen. And we're all talking about a fantasy here, but the very fact we're talking about it is because the Liberals don't know how to be grown-ups, and they don't know how to handle Donald Trump other than to indulge their hate for him. They have Trump derangement syndrome, and they can't hide it.
Yes. And I'm told that Mark Carney will be in Alberta on Thursday to announce his leadership. Because he wants to emphasize the fact that, he was raised in Edmonton. He's an Alberta boy. He understands the West. He's going to reduce the alienation at the Westfields.
Sure he is.
I don't buy that for a second, because you know who announced his leadership bid in 2013 in Calgary? Justin Trudeau.
Oh, well, there you go.
Justin Trudeau made his official announcement in Calgary in 2013. And how did that turn out?
Yeah.